What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Jon Jones sends a warning to Stipe Miocic ahead of UFC 309. Now that 12-6 elbows are allowed in UFC fights, not only is Jon Jones hoping to have his only loss overturned, Bones wants to become one of the first fighters to score a legal finish with the technique. If you're an old school or big MMA fan, you know that the only official loss on Jones's record to date came via DQ way back in 2009. Jones was disqualified in his bout with Matt Hamill because he started firing elbows with a 12-6 motion. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. Fast forward to 2024 and 12-6 elbows have finally been legalized under the MMA rule set. Ahead of Jones's fight with Stipe Miocic next weekend, the heavyweight champion was asked about the change and how he feels about it while talking with ESPN. Here's some of what Jones had to say while reflecting on his DQ loss and what could transpire at UFC 309. When I lost that night, I actually cried backstage. It was absolutely devastating to me. I had always had this vision in my mind and in my heart that I would do MMA right. There are so many things that I have failed on in life. There were so many things that I wasn't good at growing up. And with the UFC, I felt like, okay, I'm an adult. My life is in my control now. I wanted to have a perfect MMA career. Fast forward years, 12-6 elbow is legal. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. To get that reversed would be very exciting. But now I'm embracing the 12-6 elbow. I train it constantly. I'm excited to possibly be one of the first fighters to use it in the arena now that it's legal, and be one of the few athletes to lose to it. It's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, if I can get a knockout with a 12-6 elbow, that would be really sweet. It'll be interesting to see if Jones does take Miocic down and if he tries to put the 12-6 elbows to work. Scoring a finish with the technique would certainly be quite the callback, no question. Now, as UFC 309 nears, it also sounds like Jones is going to be in peak physical condition for this fight. For his heavyweight debut last year against Ciryl Gane, some fans took pokes at Jones's physique and argued he was heading into the fight with a dad bod. But Jones recently told the NT Sport that 1 week out from the fight, Jones weighs 235 pounds. For UFC 285, Jones tipped the scales at 248. Meanwhile, Stipe Miocic is also reporting that he's going to be physically and mentally firing on all cylinders at UFC 309, despite the fact that he hasn't fought since 2021. While talking with Shaquille Majuri recently, the former heavyweight champion had this to say about his hiatus from fighting and how he feels ahead of UFC 309. Recharging my whole body, my mind, my body. Just making sure I'm healed up and feeling good. I'm good. Here's hoping all of this translates into a memorable and epic fight. Do you expect Miocic could look rusty in the opening moments of the bout? Paddy Pimblett reveals injury plus calls out Ilia Topuria. It's not clear when we'll see Paddy Pimblett throwing hands in the octagon next, but if the baddie did have a fight booked, it looks like his camp would have been impacted by an ankle injury. The Liverpool star has yet to be scheduled for his next bout after he choked Bobby Green out in highlight reel fashion this past July. In a recent video that the charismatic fighter recently posted on his YouTube channel, Pimblett revealed that he rolled his ankle while sparring.
Can't spar today, love my ankle, so I was just gonna watch the lads spar. I went over on my ankle on Tuesday sparring, ankle's fat, so one of them. It'll be alright next week, just can't spar today.
Based on what Pimblett said, it sounds like the injury looked worse than it really was. The question remains, who's Pimblett gonna fight next? Although the chances of a bout with Ilia Topuria next seem slim to none, Pimblett continues to talk about facing his rival. The two have traded verbal shots for a while now. And despite what Topuria has shown in his last two fights, the fact that he's knocked out two legends in Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, the baddie is still more than confident he could beat the featherweight king.
He's good, but I'd still beat him. Styles make fights. People can laugh all he wants because I hope one day we do get the fight and then I can say I told you so. Just like I did after the sub Bobby Green in the first round. I'd have too much range on him, he wouldn't be able to get near me. If he did, I'd sub him. Keep doubting me.
Now, it's true that more than a few folks have doubted Pimblett in the past, and that he surprised a lot of people in his UFC 304 performance. But do you see him beating Topuria? If the latter does move up to lightweight, or would El Matador be too much for the baddie? Valentina Shevchenko challenges fighter to a retirement match. Manon Fior has been driving hard for a fight with Valentina Shevchenko and has warned the flyweight queen she's gonna send her into retirement. Recently, the decorated fighter fired back at the rising contender, and it's clear that the champion isn't too happy with Fior's smack talk. Fior is knocking on the title shot door on account of her 7-0 run in the UFC to date, which includes a decision victory over Erin Blanchfield in her last outing. More recently, the French fighter called out the champion via social media, and it wasn't long before the Kyrgyzstani and Peruvian star responded. Bullet Valentina, making people wait. Let's do it soon enough so I can send you to retirement and move on. To which Shevchenko said, "You lose, you retire. Deal? Ill-mannered first grader." And then Fior reported she's on board with the champion's proposal. "Deal, I'll take you seriously when you sign the contract, damn teacher's pet." Now, given Fior has just one loss on her record, and because she's only 34, of course it'd be pretty shocking if she actually retired if she lost to Valentina. All that aside, it does seem like Valentina Shevchenko and Manon Fior are on a collision course. The contender is now ranked number 2, and Shevchenko has already fought the number 1 contender, former champion Alexa Grasso, 3 times. Bo Nickal reveals shocking news. Back in 2019, Bo Nickal drew widespread praise for lasting as long as he did in his grappling match with jiu-jitsu titan Gordon Ryan. On account of new details Nickal has revealed regarding that match, truckloads of more praise should be headed his way. Over the last couple of years, Nickal has been making good on all the hype that surrounded his transition into MMA. Due to the fact that Nickal is widely considered to be one of the best wrestlers on the planet, the bar for his MMA career is super high. Recently, Nickal spoke with Demetrius Johnson via the former ONE and UFC Champions podcast, and while reflecting on his 2019 grappling match with Gordon Ryan, Nickal dropped jaws by revealing before he faced Ryan, he had only trained in jiu-jitsu 3 times. He was competing at an event and he had a big fight and then it fell out, and then another guy came in and it fell out. It was like 2 or 3 guys had pulled out of the fight for whatever reason. I just DM'd him like, hey bro, I don't know what the issue is, why nobody will go against you, but count me in, I'll do it. Tell the promoter to hit me up. I just wanted to challenge myself and feel it out. So Gordon got me in touch with the promoter and they're like, yeah, this would be great, let's do it. I was like, well, I better start practicing jiu-jitsu, so I did 3 jiu-jitsu practices. Ultimately, Ryan caught Nickal with a triangle choke, but Nickal had lasted nearly 15 minutes with the vaunted grappler. The fact that he did so with just a handful of training sessions in jiu-jitsu says a lot about his athleticism, fight IQ, and wrestling pedigree. Shara was ready to fight in 2 weeks, but UFC declined. After Sharabudin Magomedov buzzed the galaxy with his double-spitting backfist stoppage at UFC 308, the rising middleweight made it clear that he wants to battle at the UFC's card in Macau. If you thought maybe Shara was all talk, it sounds like you were way off. The highlight reel striker scored the Knockout of the Year candidate in his scrap with Armen Petrosyan, which went down on October 26. Immediately after the victory, the Dagestani fighter reported he would be ready to fight at the UFC's November 23rd card in Macau. But in a more recent interview with Red Corner MMA, Shara revealed that the UFC shot down his proposal. The 30-year-old said the following in Russian: I wanted to fight in Macau next, but the UFC insisted I take some time off and get hungry. Thanks to the UFC for their concern, but I'm always charged and ready to perform in Saudi Arabia or any place they want. It's an interesting revelation for Magomedov, for sure, as there's certainly no indication that Shara is not keen to fight. There's a good chance that the promotion understood that it would need more time to line Magomedov up with a ranked middleweight and in either co-headlining or headlining position, especially for a fight night card. Speaking of his next fight, who do you want to see Shara battle next? And do you think the UFC might be planning for him to fight a top 10 ranked middleweight? Tom Aspinall sends a message to Dana White and Jon Jones. Dana White has blown his stack more than a few times this past year while arguing with the media that Jon Jones is still the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. The way Tom Aspinall sees it, if he does end up facing and beating Jones, he doesn't want to hear White backtracking from that assertion. While everyone and their dog understands that Jones is one of, if not the greatest fighter of all time, plenty of people don't believe he's the current pound-for-pound best. A key reason being because Jones has fought just one time since 2020, and in his last fight at light heavyweight, many people thought that Dominic Reyes had won. Well, as noted, White has ripped anyone who doesn't think that Jones is the current pound-for-pound king. So when Aspinall was talking with Vector's Bazin recently, he had this to say about what beating Jones would mean as well as White. I think if you can get that name on your resume as a scalp, that goes a long way. But all I ask is, like, Dana White saying that he's the GOAT and he's pound for pound number 1, if I fight Jon Jones and beat him, he still has to be pound for pound. You can't start saying he's old then. You can't say he's past it or he's over blah blah blah. You can't do that. If he's the pound for pound GOAT or whatever, keep that same energy when I beat him. That's what I ask. Fair enough. But if Aspinall and Jones do fight and Bones loses, you know some people will point to the fact that the latter is 37. White could very well do that as well. Of course, all this speculation about how an Aspinall and Jones fight would play out has been muted somewhat on account of Bones' repeated contention he's not interested in fighting the interim champion. TJ Dillashaw reveals sad news about his shoulder injury. TJ Dillashaw has been retired for a little while now, but if you've been wondering if the former bantamweight champion could give it another go, it's clear, unfortunately for him, the answer is no. Dillashaw hasn't fought since October 2022 when he lost via TKO to Aljamain Sterling. During that fight, Dillashaw's shoulder issues were horrifyingly evident and he proceeded to retire later that year. More recently, Dillashaw appeared on the MMA Casuals podcast. In a sad and disturbing moment, Dillashaw demonstrated that he still can't raise his left hand above his head.
Unfortunately, it's I can't even I do this. Really? And it doesn't hurt, it just doesn't work. So, long story, no, I will not be coming back.
Oh, man. While Dillashaw took heat from a lot of fans for testing positive for PEDs in 2019, even his haters likely have to admit seeing that is rough. The MMA community concerned for Nick Diaz after new video emerges. Nick Diaz was allegedly spotted by a fan outside on the street, trying to set fire to something on the sidewalk. Here's the clip.
Nick!
What? What are you doing?
Are you okay?
What's that for?
Are you alright?
Yes.
Here's what the MMA world had to say about the situation. I know, right? It's like, why is he shirtless alone and trying to set grass on fire in public? It's all so bizarre, especially right before his big fight with Vicente Luque. The timing is just off. Makes you wonder what's going on with him. From what I hear, he's on meth. I hope that's not the case, but I've been hearing some up stories about him and the new crew of people he's been around. I really hope it's all just rumors and Nick is doing fine and will come back and put on a valiant effort against Luque. That's definitely an interesting video to surface right before his fight. It makes you wonder what he's trying to prove or if it's just a way to get attention. Either way, it adds some hype to the upcoming match. Everyone's making jokes, but this is so concerning. It's been obvious that he's not in the right place leading up to this fight. He's been selling signed gloves on his Instagram and doing a bunch of low quality cameo videos. Definitely needs money. But fighting Luque is going to get him hurt badly. Being famous in your hometown must be awful. You can't go on any side quest with people shouting, "Nick, what are you doing?" from their cars. UFC fighter Raul Rosas Jr. was in an altercation with a YouTuber after the YouTuber tried to prank Raul. The YouTuber taunted Raul multiple times before stepping into the cage with him, which didn't go well for the YouTuber. Here's the clip.
Can you move my boy? Because I'm using this one, homie. I find it kind of disrespectful that you're using my treadmill.
Are you being disrespectful, homie?
I'm not being disrespectful. I'm telling you this is my treadmill, homie, and I want you to move.
Use that one over there. That one.
Bro, you're being mad disrespectful, bro.
He got some f***ing fight. Don't f*** it up, bro, please.
Playing, right? Man, homie.
Yeah, wait.
Hey. It's not worth it. That's a UFC fight. It's not even worth it, bro.
You got a problem or what, homie?
You want me to leave? I left.
This is a terrible time, bro. Terrible
I'm
time.
here to for the boxing.
Homie? Yeah, bro.
Hey, chill, bro. Hey, you hit like a bitch, homie.
Come here.
You got hit like a bitch, let me see you. Why you running that? Why you scared?
You said you hit like a bitch. Why you
Stop. Why you scared?
What's up, my boy? What's up?